Einfache Ausdrücke, simple expressions that you can use in your leaving certificate oral or written components. So before I go through each of the examples, if you watched any of my other videos, you'd see that I go through the German linguistic structure as SVTMP, subject, verb, time, manner, place. So in this example, I've underlined V because the verb is always in second position. I have reduced TMP, time, manner, place, to be the letter X, as you would know in maths as being an unknown or something from which you have to find out, but in this case it's just a grouping of the TMP. So a lot of these expressions will go at the start of a sentence. So if you have a simple sentence, ich spiele Fußball, and if I were to have am Samstags, for example, if I were to use am Samstag at the start of a sentence, you would say am Samstags spiele ich Fußball. So when X goes to the start of the sentence, the verb always stays second because that's the rule in German, and then the subject follows thereafter. So, a few expressions that you can use to augment your written or your oral expression. So, außerdem, apart from or moreover. Das mag sein, aber, that may be true. Meiner Meinung nach, in my opinion. Im Großen und Ganzen, on the whole. Erstens, zweitens, drittens, first, second or third. Jeder weiß, dass, everyone knows. And es geht it's a question of. So here it's So again, that's just because I didn't space out the writing as much. So a lot of these, for example, they would be in the position of X, and then the verb comes second, and then the subject. For example, in the second one, das mag sein, aber starts off another sentence, so it follows the SVX construction. Likewise, when you have the second last one, jeder weiß das, after das, you start off with your simple sentence, SV and X, but because you're using das, the rule in German is das sends the verb to the end of the sentence. So again, you're following jeder weiß das, and then in your sentence, S, and then X, which is the TMP, and then the verb goes to the end when you're using das. You'll notice that that's the same pattern as when you're using weil, but note that den, D-E-N-N, does not affect the word order, so you have the SVX just for den. Lastly, when you're using aber or das or weil, you must use the comma when you're writing German because it's considered a grammatical error if you're not. Go on to the next one. Das stimmt, das stimmt nicht. That's true, that's not true. Einerseits, on the one hand. Andererseits, on the other hand. Ich bin dafür, ich bin dagegen das. I'm for it or I'm against it. And if you want to augment the sentence, you continue with das. Im Vergleich zu, so normally im Vergleich zu, followed by the dative case. Or it's always followed by the dative case. Natürlich, normalerweise, naturally and normally. Zum Beispiel, for example, to set off SVX sentence. The next set of words, schließlich, finally, oder später, later. So again, the normal SVX sentence will go schließlich or später to start as X, followed by the verb and then the subject and then the rest of the sentence. Zum Abschluss, conclusion. Und dazu kommt noch das. Okay, so if you're writing this, the comma is necessary because it's a grammatical rule, you lose mark out of it. And also that when you have das, you have the S. Your normal SVX sentence goes to S, X, X being TMB, and then the verb going to the end when you're writing das. The next one, nicht nur, sondern auch. Übrigens, weiterhin. And then, was ich eigentlich sagen wollte, comma, ist. So here we have an example of was ich eigentlich sagen wollte could be is the letter X. It's either TMP, and then a comma, and then because a comma in German separates linguistic units, as opposed to in English, where the comma separates thought processes. So after the comma, you have the verb ist, so in the same way as XVS. XVS. Next one. Es steht fest, dass, it's sure that, ausnahmslos, without exception, also, therefore, und daher, use either or, soweit ich weiß, das liegt daran, dass, in Bezug auf, plus followed by the accusative case, namely, wie, such as. And the last one, in diesem, D-I-E-S-E-M, Zusammenhang, in this context. Das Wichtigste ist, and however you want to complete the sentence, unbestritten ist das, Komma, möglichste, bald, sogar, besonders, in particular, ganz und gar, G-A-R, completely or utterly. In jeder Hinsicht, in every respect, durchaus, absolutely, und vor allem, above all. Vor allem müssen Sie Deutsch lernen. So you have either the SVT, which is constrained to X, müssen, the verb, and then Sie as the subject who the sentence is about, and then the rest of the sentence. The next one. So einfache Ausdrücke. Da habe ich Zweifel, I'm not so sure about. Abgesehen davon, dass, apart from the fact that, auf den ersten Blick, at the first sight, bis zu einem gewissen Grad, to some extent, es kommt darauf an, was, it depends on was. So again, comma, necessary if you're writing German, and then in the same way as das verb is put into the appropriate position. Ich habe den Eindruck, dass, it is my impression that, vermutlich, V-E-R-M-U-T-L-I-C-H, presumably, and selbst wenn is even if. Okay, so the next one, trotzdem, nevertheless, oder dennoch is despite this. Problematisch dabei ist, the problem with it is, in Wirklichkeit, in reality, or the actual fact, es ist fraglich ob, and again ob, you position the verb in its appropriate position, it is questionable whether, es ist unvorstellbar, das, it is inconceivable that, in terms of evidence. The second last one, das stimmt auf keinen Fall. That is absolutely untrue. And the last one, das ist aus der Luft gegriffen. That has nothing to do with the facts. So either standalone sentence or you can kind of like make it your own. And then the next one, ohne Zweifel, undeniably, without doubt. So ohne Zweifel ist der Himmel blau. Undeniably the sky is blue. Now we know the sky isn't blue, it's a mixture of various colours depending on light refraction, refracting against the water molecules in the air, but we'll go with as our eyes tell us unconceivably. So the next one, offensichtlich, evidently, in der Regel, as a rule, es steht fest, dass, das is a certain that, ehrlich gesagt, to be honest with you, es ist schade, dass, it's a pity that, ich schlage vor. So vorschlagen is the verb to suggest. Ich schlage vor is the circular verb, das. And ich bin davon überzeugt. I am convinced that. So you can use any of these expressions to help with your written, for transition, filler words, and just to kind of like help your story method or your argumentation process, or you can use it for your oral component just to have a natural flow between your thoughts or process and your conversation. So pick certain ones that you will remember and use them habitually so that you can build up your own memory bank before learning further ones. And remember that SVT, the verb is always in second position. If you put TMP, which is X, if you looked at any of the videos whereby I go through the simple word order logic, V at the start, the verb is always second, and then the subject follows. So back to the example where I said, ich spiele Fußball. Am Samstag spiele ich Fußball. Am Samstag spiele ich Fußball. The verb is always second. If I said, ich habe Fußball gespielt, if I have am Samstag for the past tense, the first verb is always in second position. So am Samstag habe ich Fußball gespielt. Okay, so that's it there.